Hi there, this is James Kruger, owner of Corum Prestige Realty here in Houston, Texas. I have the pleasure today of sitting with Tyshawn Whitt, one of our up-and-coming top agents. Tyshawn, welcome. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome. Well, start off by telling us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Illinois. Grew up in a small town outside of Chicago in Rockford, Illinois. Came to Houston about 3 years ago to start my real estate journey.
Wow. Did you always know that you wanted to be in real estate?
I always knew that I wanted to be in some type of customer-facing job because I'm so good with people and I love to learn new things from people. And I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity.
So what's the thought process? Like, you said you're good with people, you want to help people. Why real estate? There's a lot of jobs out there that help people. Why real estate?
I was in tech sales. I was working at Verizon as a customer sales specialist, and I just wanted to grow. You know, I was constantly moving up in the rank, and I don't know, I was watching some TV and I just saw like the houses and the amount of opportunity that lies in this field. I'm like, why not? You know, me and my roommate, we drove 16 hours, hopped on the road and was like, let's do it.
Wow, so you just made a decision, came down here to Texas.
Yes.
Did you have your license at all?
I didn't have my license or anything. I transferred my job at Verizon. We were still working there, and while I was working, I was having them pay for my my license and my classes.
Wow. So why not real estate there in Illinois?
The market is just better in Houston. Like, everything's bigger and better in Houston. You know, I wanted a fresh start. I wanted to show my family and the people around me that there's more out there than to just being stationary. You know, I can make a difference for people. So
you said you grew up in a small town. Mm-hmm. What was that small town called again?
Rockford, Illinois.
Rockford. So tell me about Tyshawn in junior high. What were you like in junior high? What were you involved in? What were you doing?
I played basketball for 4 years. Started off 4 years, was team captain, team leader. I was a well-rounded player. I'm not gonna hype myself up, but I did pretty good. And after high school, I went to college for 2 years in a small town, Peoria.
Okay.
COVID hit, you know, and things changed. I saw people losing their jobs, so I ended up going back home for a couple of months, and we was just like stacking and saving our money, and we planned our trip here.
Wow. So COVID was kind of like a catalyst that led you to real estate.
Yes.
Wow, that's terrific. That's cool. So back to Rockford, right? You're playing basketball. What else did you do there in town? Did you have a part-time job? Did you do anything like that?
I was actually working full-time at a burger joint. That's where I met my roommate, Zalik Banks, and we was just like, he went to a different school I played basketball against, and we would just like talk smack at work, like, dude, you know, I'm gonna beat you this next game type of deal. And we had the same type of motivation. Yeah. You know, and we want to make a difference.
Is your friend still in real estate?
He's in insurance sales. So he's on a different side of the business, and we kind of team up from time to time. But yeah, that's how I was always working in high school, constantly working. You know, leave school, leave practice, go to work. Wake up, weekends, go to work. Like I just love working.
So you kind of had that work hard mentality inside of you. And you said you worked full time at the burger joint.
At least 30 to 40 hours a week.
And how old were you when you had your first job?
I was 14, 15. I was, fun story, we had to wake up and like at 5 or 6 in the morning and go to this church. This church took us in the field to like kind of clean like the tassels and stuff like that. And that was my first job. So I was always just constantly, because I felt like I always saw value in your work. If you showed that you were hardworking, you were persistent, and you were a man of your words and showed up in your actions, that's what led me to become who I've become. And I've had a job ever since.
Love it. You know, it's funny, I got my first job when I was around 14 as well, and always worked in high school and college, and I feel that kind of work ethic plays a very strong part in real estate. So tell me how that work ethic that you learned as a young age has helped you now.
Honestly, it correlates to being there for my clients. Showing I'm available 24/7, making sure I'm in good communication, sending text messages, making phone calls. It responded, it matched really well with the position I'm in, because it shows someone how dedicated you are for them. And it's just you're not treating them like just someone else, right? And it helps out, because I'm always working, even when I'm not working. Some people may say that's unhealthy, but it's me being there for other people. Because when I'm there for other people, it helps me.
I'm a big believer that that real estate is truly a 7-day-a-week job, right? That it never stops. That your clients, you're there for your clients at all times. What would you say that you do to show your clients how available you are for them?
Being 1% better. Like when they say, hey, Tyshawn, I want to see this house, I'm outside, making time for them. When they say, look, can we submit an offer on this? Making sure I'm preparing the paperwork and asking Chelsea or Salone, what can I do to make sure that this is going through without any hiccups? Just showing them that I value them in that decision they're making.
Yeah. So going back to high school, you're working 30, 40 hours a week. You're playing basketball. How were your grades?
My grades were average. Okay. I'm not a top, honor roll, gifted academy type of guy. I was more so, hey, I got A's, a couple of B's, maybe a C or two in there, but I just felt like if I work for something, I can get it.
What kind of extra learning are you doing now to help hone your craft in?
So I do a lot of reading books. Right now I'm reading The Art of a Superior Man.
The Art of a Superior Man.
Yes,
okay.
So it's
by David D'Angelo or something.
I think so. Yeah, and that book is really teaching me how to work on my craft. I'm studying finance, learning finance, and those are kind of the main two. And taking my CE classes, of course.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think that book's actually called The Way of a Superior Man.
I think so. Yeah, that's what it is.
I find that book to be a really good book for any young men out there to read. I recently read it in the last couple years as well, and I find that it just kind of shows, a true way to be a masculine man in today's society. How would you say that book's helping you with real estate?
Growing up, I didn't have that. I didn't know what a real man looked like, right? So my life has really been about discovery, finding out what makes me me, what makes me unique. And that book just really guides me to always showing up and keeping my word.
So, I know you've mentioned keeping your word a few times. And I find in this business that's paramount, right? You have to do that. Every now and then, we don't always do what we say we're going to do. How do you correct a mistake? How do you correct something when you mess up? Tell me about that process.
Taking accountability.
What does that look like for you?
Hey, if I'm not able to make it to this showing, let's add some time to my calendar to figure out when we can meet again. Or if I'm not available to show this house, let me find someone for you that one of my agents inside to show the house for you. Oh, I'm on vacation. I'll make sure I get someone to communicate with you about the process. Just letting them know that if I'm not available or if I'm not present in the situation, that I can find someone else who is. And that's the part about being with Corcoran, right? You guys have a tremendous amount of investment in your agents, and that's what really helped me excel my business to the next level.
Awesome. I remember the day that you came into my office unannounced and dropping off a resume saying hey man, I want a job. You want a job here. Tell me about that thought process of just showing the heck up, because apparently we had interviewed you before and you didn't get through the interview process. So that had to take some courage, to come back in and say, I really want this. So talk to me about that thought process. What went through your mind and how that day played out for you?
He gave me, I think his name is Tori.
Yeah.
He gave me some very, very corrective, like some criticism. And
some good feedback.
And at the time, I wasn't a person that accepted feedback. I was always kind of like, dude, really? You know, like you would say something like that to me, and I like it sat on my mind for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in destiny, and I researched the area, looked at other brokerages, and there's nothing like Corum Prestige, which was Kruger Real Estate at the time. There's nothing like you guys. And I'm like, man, this is where I want to be. So I'm gonna walk back up in here, and I'm gonna talk to somebody. Can I host an open house? Can I do anything to be a part of the team? Because I don't see another fit. There's no other way for me to succeed. Like, I don't see anywhere else for me to be. Man, that was my thought process.
I love that. And you came in there, you showed up, and you obviously took some of that feedback to heart, because you showed up looking very professional and had a good look about you. How would you, so just now you mentioned that feedback's been difficult for you to take in the past. How do you see feedback as an important factor to your growth now?
I learned when someone gives you feedback and they give you criticism, they care about you.
Yeah.
They care about your growth. They care about where you can be. They want to see you at your full potential. Before, I was hurt about it, insecure about it, if you want to say. I'm like, man, these dudes don't know me from a can of paint. They don't and I'm just like, now, anytime I want feedback, I want to recognize, I want people to care, because it's not all about you. It's not all about me, right? There's a bigger picture to things, and I'm learning that, right? So before, me at 18, I'm that guy. I don't care. I don't care what James has to say. I don't care what Tori has to say, that's how I was thinking, But I'm learning, I'm growing, and that's really the real reason I'm a real estate as well, because you get to become somebody you never thought you could be before.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned that you were just super drawn and attracted to Corum Prestige. What was it about this brokerage that, from your perspective, set it apart and that you knew had to be your house?
The tagline. Just be who you are. Like, a lot of people are getting into real estate and they lose themselves, right? You become a robot. Oh, contract this, open house this. Like, you guys allow people to have a personality, right? You allow people to perfect their craft, and at the same time, you're investing in them. You guys invested in me. Leads, training, snacks in the refrigerator, like stuff like that, and guidance for the most part, right? No, there's no other brokerage. You come in, hey, do this, make 500 phone calls, make 1,000 phone calls, knock 100 doors. And it's like, we human. We're human.
What would you say has been one of the biggest contributors to your success since you've joined Corum?
I would say just the other people being better. Like, you don't want to never, like, I'm glad I was, at one point in time, I was the worst on the team. I didn't know how to work a lead. I didn't know how to use my follow-up boss. I didn't know how to make a call. Seeing other people that are like, man, like Isaiah, for example, that dude is on point. Like, he's seeing that in him at just a slightly younger age than I am, him being at that age and being like, dude, he's on top of his game, right? Just being around better people, and that allows me to be better.
Absolutely. So I know you've been at other brokerages in the past. How does this brokerage differ from the other brokerages that you've experienced?
I used to work for a small boutique brokerage, and he was fairly new. And I'm like, I'm gonna take the investment, because he invested in me. That's how I joined real estate. He was like, Tyshawn, get in there and make some calls, man. You'll get something. I went 6 months, no income, 6 months making phone calls every day out of a system called Mojo, and going on Zillow trying to call people. And I'm like, dude, I can't. He's like, keep calling. And I'm like, you're not helping me, you're not teaching me. And like right before my birthday, I got one client. It was like one client. I made the phone call, got her out, do a buyer's presentation, closed her my first deal. That gave me some income for the rest of the year. And I was able to take that little savings and come to your team, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta move. I got a little cash in my pocket. And I'm in Houston by myself. I got a little cash in my pocket. Shoot, let me make this change with this, income I had. So, I mean, he really taught me, like, you gotta find a way to make it.
Yeah. I love that. Mm-hmm. What's been some of the biggest things you've learned since joining Corum Prestige?
Responsibility, being responsible, caring for others. Everybody here, there's no like one up in someone, or even if it's competition, there's friendly competition. Embracing a team effort. So many people want to do it on their own and say they're self-made and they want to, oh, I started this and did it by myself. You're gonna live a destructive life trying to manage everything, and I fight myself sometimes like, oh, but I learned that with a team, you can go far. And they can let you know what your potential is. By yourself, you only can see what you can see, So it's just the vision of others, to answer your question.
It's funny, I had an agent that joined us in the past, and he had been at 6 different brokerages. And when he came on board, he said this was the first brokerage he saw where when you get a deal, people are giving each other a high five instead of that evil eye.
Yeah, I agree.
So you'd say the team environment here is a true camaraderie, true team environment.
I agree, 100%.
Awesome. Tell me about a difficult challenge that you faced in real estate and what you did to overcome it.
Really I learned, I think that I can get everything done. I think that I can take care of every client, that I can sell anyone. That's not reality. Some people just don't want to work with you, and I used to think like, dang, why they don't want to work with me? I used to think there was something wrong with me, but it was more so just timing, personality. There's a lot of different factors that come into place, and how I overcame that was just keep being more persistent and pushing through. You can't help everyone, even if you want to. Some people don't want your help. It may be something they don't like, or like So I learned that was one of my most difficult things. I used to think like, oh snap, I called them 40 times or 30 times, and they still don't want to work with me. Like, you still don't want to. So I'm like, I gotta take that as an answer, right? They don't. Even if I did the best that I could. Knowing that I did the best that I could.
Yeah. So in other words, you're saying that you've started to come to a balance of not necessarily chasing after a client, but I'd say trying to show your value to a client versus making that decision to say, you know what, I've given them what I've gotten, and I'm going to wait for them to come back to me. Would you say you've gotten to more of a balance with that? Yeah.
Because I know my aggressiveness, people like, dude, this dude's aggressive. And it's like, that's you. I don't know what to say. Sometimes you have to be aggressive, and it's like, but some clients, they like the more. I was talking to Isaiah about this yesterday. There's a balance between aggressive and being passive.
Yeah.
Let them know that you're there versus forcing your way there.
Yeah.
So I'm learning it in my career.
I've seen you in action. You came to me with the one deal where it was a difficult struggle between the buyer and the seller, and trying to make that negotiation happen. And it sounded like you had finally got the seller. You whittled them down. But by the time you got the seller to the point where the buyer wanted them to be at, the buyer was frustrated with the whole process and decided to hold off on buying at that moment. Talk to me about that process, right? Like, what did you learn from that? And how has it changed your interactions going forward?
I look back and as a real estate agent, you're an advisor. Yeah. You're a communicator. You shouldn't be investing in a deal more than your client. You have to know what your client wants. He didn't, I felt like I knew what he wanted, but at the end of the day, that deal probably wasn't a good deal for him, because at that time of his life, it wasn't the right timing for him. I didn't take the time to step back and notice that and say, hey, maybe you should rent another year, or maybe we should resign and save a little bit more income. I was trying to make something out of nothing because I wanted it, and not wanting it for my client, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that you learned, right, that keeping your emotions out of the equation is super important. Tell me how your approach is now by subsiding those emotions.
Communicating whatever my buyer says. Hey, Tyshawn, we want to submit an offer for this price with this. If they don't accept it, then we move on. Instead of back then, I'll try extra things. Hey, they come with this, but can we try to get you? Can we? My buyer doesn't want that. He said, Tyshawn, one thing. And I'm always trying to go above and beyond. Sometimes you just need to do what's right.
Yeah. So, and again, it goes back to that balance.
That balance, yes.
And I think that comes with time. So you've had your license for 3 years now?
I've been an active agent since December of 2022.
December 22. So that's December 23. Wow, just a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Wow. And you joined when did you join Corum Prestige?
September of last year. So it's been 8 months? 8 months.
And how many deals have you gotten under contract or closed so far?
I want to say 14 to 16.
That's great, man. That's actually phenomenal. 8 months, 14 deals. What would you say is one of the biggest contributors to that success?
Being the best that I can be. Like, I try not to compare myself to others. Like, say if someone is more successful, and I try not to focus on others and focus on my own. Okay, last month I did this. That week I'm taking down notes, I'm writing, like, what can I do better this week? I want to make sure I end my day giving it everything I got, you know? And that comes in with taking rest too, but I did that for months, every day, every week, breaking down my day. And that's allowed me to become to the success that I'm at now. And really also you guys. You guys are one of my biggest contributors. I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. I wouldn't have, starting out, you come into the game, I name somebody right now that's coming into the game, getting 15 to 20 deals by themselves. I don't. You got to have a team. And then you're able to scale and do different things. But being here has helped a lot.
Awesome. I love hearing that. So, Tyshawn, you've talked about some of your strengths that have helped you become great at becoming a great agent. What's some of the things that you still need to work on within yourself to become that much better?
Being on time. Being on time. I try to do so much at once. I'm trying to take care of this, take care of that, do this, and I'll be just a minute late. You got to prioritize. I'm not that good at prioritizing. I want to do it all, but I don't have it packed down yet. The scheduling, the efficiency, being able to execute, being able to manage, right? I'm still working on that. And that's about putting systems in place.
That's systems, and it comes also with time and practice, right? I used to have a saying here in the office that if you're on time, you're late, right? And that's a saying that I learned a long time ago, and it's something that always took to heart. And so, for example, I'd always try to show up 5-10 minutes early. And I know the thought process because I was like you. I was always late, right? I was always behind schedule, and I hate being that way. It's not a great feeling when you show up to anywhere late, right? And so for me, what was a kind of a hindrance in my own mind was I don't want to show up early and then I have nothing to do. I'm just waiting around. Mm-hmm. But then I learned as an agent, when I showed up early, man, I had the opportunity to catch up on maybe one more phone call or send one more email out or work on one other deal. Have you found anything like that yet?
As in just trying to come in earlier?
Yeah.
The thing is, I be up. That's the bad part. I wake up at 6:30 and I'm literally, okay, boom, I go to the gym and I'm just there just like, okay, I want to ride just on time. I got to change my mindset. Just on time is 15 minutes earlier. And that's why I walk in at 1:01 or 9:59 or I got to change the mindset. It's all, cause I'll literally be up at 6 going to the gym, drinking my protein shake and taking my notes, and so it comes down to me.
So you mentioned earlier that you're a big reader, right? Yeah. Tell me some other books. Tell me a book that you have found to be one of the most influential books in your life today.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
You don't understand how your habits contribute to your success once you start to break everything down.
Absolutely.
I literally changed my life when I read that book.
Really?
I want to say I was one of those guys that'll stay up to 4 and then walk right in before or come to work 30 minutes later. I literally learned that if these things I'm doing 1% each day, they'll contribute to being 10% better at the end of the year or 15% better. You have to really focus on what you do every day. Isaiah's a perfect example, right? If I come into the office every day and work on my business, by the end of the year, I've been and doubled it versus going home, going to sleep, getting something to eat, changing my habits.
Yeah.
And that's what that book primarily focused on, that helped me grow as an individual.
I love that. Atomic Habits has always been one of my favorite books. Really influential. What's another book that you found has really contributed to your mindset and to your success?
10X. Have you read 10X?
Okay, yeah.
10X is good. I read, he does a lot of, I think it's Grant Cardone.
Yes.
He does a lot of different sales books. They kind of correlate and say the same thing, but you see 24 hours of talk time a month. I'm making 100 plus phone calls. You know, I'm averaging 3 or 4 hours of talk time a week.
Yeah.
You don't understand how much you can really do until you keep pushing yourself.
Until you keep pushing yourself.
Until you keep pushing yourself.
So you told me about one of your greatest challenges. Tell me about one of the greatest successes you've had here and what led to that success.
One of the greatest successes I've had here. I want to say I'm working on something right now.
Okay.
Where I'm negotiating a big deal for my client.
Okay.
To where I'm getting a lot of the asking price, to where I'm getting seller's contribution, to where I'm getting repairs all in one. And that will be probably one of the biggest deals ever.
So you told me about a big success you're working on, but I want to hear about something, a small little success that really clicked something inside and was like a aha moment for you. For me, I remember when I first started, you guys are lucky. When I first started, I was doing only apartment finding and renting and all this advertising on Craigslist. And it was very challenging, right? You're up against massive competition. And it was frustrating taking the call from someone, getting all this information, doing a lot of work and research for them, finding them some good apartment options for them to only disappear, right? And I remember one day I told this guy at the end of the phone call, hey man, no need to talk to anyone else. I'm going to take amazing care of you. And once I found him a place and we closed on a deal, he said, you know why I stuck with you? I was like, why? He's like, because you told me you're going to take great care of me. So from that point on, of course, what did I say to everyone I talked to from the beginning? I'm going to take amazing care of you, right? So that's the kind of success that I'm asking about. What have you had that's like that?
So when I first started, and I honestly didn't think, like, you come into real estate, you don't know what's possible until you do it.
Yeah.
I had this client, I remember, Will and Muriel, and I was showing homes out in Humble and in Tascasita, and we kept submitting the offer on like every property and just not getting it accepted. And they called me one day, like, Tyshawn, I want to submit an offer on this house, and I'm not getting tired, I'm not giving up, and I'm on my way to the deal to go submit the offer, and I get in a car accident. And I'm like, dang. And these clients, they see me like coming back out of it because I was late. Not late to the showing, but late because I was in a car accident. And they was like, they saw how hard I worked. And even after that, not despite having a car, we saw 10 other homes. We finally got a home under contract. And that's when I knew the power of my mindset and what I could do.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Now that is a great story right there. I love that. You know, I'm a big believer that mindset is everything. How do you guard yourself from outside influences that might not be so positive, right? How do you protect your mindset and your positive outlook?
It starts with discovery and knowing who you are, but it's also having boundaries. What am I willing to talk about at this moment? Hey, if you calling me, Tyshawn, I'm going through 1 second, I'm working with a client or I'm in office, I'll call you later. Having those boundaries, and I automatically know, is this positive or negative? Sometimes I ask my mom, when she calls me, Mom, is this necessary at this time, or is it emergency? Having those boundaries and knowing what can really influence you in your day is a true way of knowing, having a positive mindset.
I love that. What frustrates you the most about real estate?
when I can't get something done? When you want something, people know that I'm not afraid to let someone know that I want it as much as they do. Like a lot of people shy away from that. They want to play like, oh yeah, I might, but I let people know that I care about this as much as you do. And sometimes when I know I want it and I can't get it, that frustrates me like crazy. But you have to have acceptance, right? You have to, okay, maybe not this time, destiny, maybe for the next time, or maybe a year down the line.
Gotcha. What would you say has been, you're relatively new to real estate. What's been one of the biggest kind of shocks about the real estate industry to you?
Okay, the amount of money you can make. I gotta say it, because it's like you don't know how much you can. You're one deal away from changing your life. And I'm an adrenaline junkie. We drink a lot of energy drinks in there, and I like that. Just living off that risk is what excites me. It may not be for everybody, right? People like to live comfortable, committed lifestyle, which is perfect. But I like the fact that, man, I can make this happen for this client. I can win this client over. I can make one more call, one more text message, and be set. What? Name a career. James, you name a career. Name a career. I don't know. What else is it? Like, what? Seriously.
I agree with you, man. Like, I used to work my butt off in corporate environment. And I remember I got a bonus that was barely any better than the next person's bonus. And I know I worked my butt off way more than they did. And so at that point, I knew that corporate life was not for me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So we've talked a lot about your success that you've had so far. What are your goals for the rest of this year?
My goals are to average at least 3 deals a month. And I want to sell 10 million. I will sell 10 million.
I love it.
I think I'm at like 3 or 4.
Already.
From this year, I think between 2 and 3, but overall, since I've started, about 3 or 4 for sure. So my goal is 10 million, 3 deals a month. With the new programs that we have, I may get there quicker, but it's more so I want to learn how to execute, be more professional, and work on committing more and more.
Yeah.
It's just mindset for me.
Absolutely. So you've mentioned that coming to Corum Prestige has really helped from the team aspect. Tell me a little bit about the tools and resources we have here that have also helped you with your career and your growth.
Things like this, marketing, right? Marketing is a big part of real estate. Having a presence, selling others on who you are, you guys help a lot with that. Because you take away all of the door knocking and the cold calling. That gives me time to show up and be like, man, with enthusiasm, these are the granite countertops. Look, walk in, this is the study here, right? We'll go into the kitchen, and then there's about 3 bedrooms upstairs. The primary is, I get to have energy because I'm not exposing myself on the phone all day. And then I'm showing up to the showings. Oh yeah, just go, So like having the marketing, having the leadership, being able to have access to people who have a high level of success like you, Salone, Chelsea, Gonzalo, Aaron, big names in real estate. Being able to have that access is unbeatable. You're not going to get that anywhere.
Fantastic. Let's go to personal growth. So you've talked about being a reader. What else are you doing to work on yourself at the moment?
I work out a lot.
Okay.
So I'm focused on my physical appearance and, being in the gym, showing up every morning, going to the gym, working on eating healthy. I'm not going to, sit in front of the camera and be like, I'm trying to eat healthy. I eat a lot of snacks. I have access to everything in HEB. But things that I'm working on again is just setting my boundaries, journaling, waking up, stating my affirmations, telling God like, hey, this is what I'm thankful for. I'm glad to be in this position. There's no other position I can be in. I'm meant to where I'm at. That's where I'm meant to be. And focus on, journaling, my mental health. The gym has helped me become the person I am.
You mentioned affirmations and journaling. Have you ever read a book called The Miracle Morning?
Is it a yellow book?
It's not yellow, but it's a really thin, small book.
I haven't read it.
It's a great book. It talks about these daily habits that you want to develop, like, yes, journaling every day, affirmations, visualization or like a meditation, reading, and exercising, of course. I'm a big believer of that. I did my affirmations this morning. I write them down and then I tell them to myself in the mirror. What do you do for affirmations?
I write them down. The week before, I literally have about 100 notes I can show you. Week of May 5th, week of April. Like, I break down every week, and then from there, every day I'm writing down what can I improve. And then at the end of the week, I'm being honest with myself. That's the thing about personal growth. You don't want to lie to yourself. You want to be honest. The moment you accept where you are because of what you did and the choices you made, that's personal growth in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
And at the end of every week, I'm like, dang, did I do this? I didn't do that. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay, I did that. I put them, okay. Check marks. I'm organized when it comes to things like that because that's what helps keep this in check.
So, do you have any go-to favorite affirmations that, like, you're about to meet a client, or you're just waking up in the morning that you love to just say to yourself over and over and over?
One that I do say a lot: this client changed my life. When I'm with a client, before I'm in the car, listen to my turn up music. I'm like, I got like high energy music, and I'm like, man, this the client right here.
Yeah.
I had a client recently. He was like, man, you just kept working. I didn't even tell you to do anything. And I'm like, look, dude, that's just, I believe you the one. Even if you don't believe I'm the one. In my head, I'm like, this gonna be it right here. This is gonna take me from A to B.
I used to have a rule that I told myself I would never let a client see any type of frustration from me. I always met a client with this enthusiasm and this excitement. Would you say that affirmation helps you do that?
Yes. I'm the guy. I'm not the passive guy. Hey, show the house real quick, and I'm gonna just be on it. No. Hey, where are you from? Oh, you're from there? Oh, my cousin, she went to school there, right? Oh, perfect. This is the first, I'm walking them through everything. I'm creating that experience. Oh, there's Burger Bodega right down the street. You on a Washington Strip right here? I'm selling them on a scenery. I'm selling them on myself. Like, this guy, he knows something. That's what helps. That affirmation just, if I don't say that, I never get to say, if I don't say that information, I don't think it won't turn out right.
What kind of advice do you have for someone brand new getting in this industry?
You can do the unthinkable. It's all about your mindset. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't focus on the money or the fame, or I'm the best realtor, or don't focus on that. Focus on developing in a person you want to become. That's number one, because we're doing something that's outside of the box, right? We're in the 1%ers. People look at us and be like, why? This guy, you think he can do that? He can't do that. But having that mindset that you can will take you years ahead. Yeah. You'll meet some of your friends from high school or college or whatever. Your mindset is like, you can do anything, and that I can do anything. I try not to let things stop me if I'm having a bad day. If it's people outside forces kind of coming in, that mindset has always. And I've been at some low points where I on the floor like, can I make it? Am I gonna? And then I wake up and I get a call from James, Tyshawn, where you at? And that keeps me going. So it's like that alone, your mindset beats anything. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
Tell me about one of the lowest points you've ever had in your life.
One of the lowest points I've had, it was the story I stated earlier when I was with that client and I couldn't make it. And they drove past and they saw me, ambulance. It was a hole in my arm. And I'm like, I'm finna quit. I'm not finna do this. I can't do this. But it's like, they was like, Tyshawn, you okay? You good? They stopped by, he came over. He's like, man, I see you working for me. Like, you could do this, Didn't have a penny, nothing. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And I start thinking, I start questioning myself. I went ghost for a couple of months. I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, like, is this really what I want to do? Like, for these clients, try to win, like, put myself in this position. And they called me like, Tyshawn, we want to buy a house with you. And that was one of the lowest points. I didn't have nothing. I couldn't call no one. I can't call my mom. She's 16 hours away. My roommate, he's going through his things. You know, I came onto the team. I didn't know anyone here. I moved here, but I couldn't call nobody. But that call from Will and Miriam, shout out to them, that kind of pushed me because they bought a house. That next week, I don't even know how, I can't even remember how I got there. I just know I got there. So that was probably one of the lowest points, you know, and that really I changed my mindset from right then and there. That was probably one of the things that was like, man.
Yeah. A good wake-up call.
A good wake-up call, like, Tyshawn, you slow down, right? You gonna get there. You got the mentality, the charisma, the swag. You gonna get there. No need to rush. You will get there. And I know it's like, I'm doing this for real. So, yeah.
Well, Tyshawn, I want to thank you for taking some time to chat with me today, to share with the audience a little bit about your story, a little bit about you and what makes you tick. I'll say from my perspective that I see that go-getter in you. I think it's a rare quality, and I think that it's going to get you a lot of places. I see you constantly working on yourself and definitely always striving for improvement. So keep up the good work. I know great things are going to happen for you, and we're super excited to see what you do.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate that.